Hi everyone, TardisGuy123 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the first Third Doctor story, which is of course Spearhead from Space by Robert Holmes. So yeah, let's just jump right into it as per normal. So basically, I think most people know the plot of this story. It's basically the Autons invading Earth, and the Third Doctor begins his exile by stopping them. So it's fairly simple four-part story in that sense. But you know, I think I like it. I think it's definitely a strong start to the Pertwee era, and it really does define, not necessarily define, but takes a completely different course from what has come before it. It really is new, because I mean, the only character you really know in this story is the Brigadier, and the last time he was featured in was the invasion. So yeah, you know, it's definitely new because I mean, you've lost all your main characters, and it's definitely kind of like feeling like a raw new direction for the series. And yep, so Jon Pertwee as the Doctor in this, I think he's great in the second half. In the first half, he's a bit mixed, really. He does kind of like that crass comedy routine, which I'm not sure if many people really enjoyed, and to be honest, it wasn't really overly necessary, I don't think. But nevertheless, in the second half, he's good, he's enjoyable, and you know, it gets away with that post-regeneration stuff fairly quickly and whatnot. And then you've got Liz Shaw, who is a very good companion in this. I think she's probably at her best in this, although she's also very good. She's very good in most of her serials. I haven't seen Doctor and the Silurians, but well, Liz Shaw herself in Inferno isn't the best, but Caroline John is probably at her best there because she also gets to play a villain in the alternative universe. But anyway, enough of Inferno. Let's get back to Spearhead from Space. In this, she is good. She's got a good introduction, I think, and you know that's while you know when you've got companions also being introduced in a Doctor's first story, you often overshadow companions with the Doctor. But I mean, in this, I think it does a good job establishing who Liz is, creates a strong character for her, and arguably she does save the day in the end, in a way, because when the machine breaks down and the Doctor's under attack, it's her who fixes it, without any help from the Doctor. Granted, the Doctor built the machine to do this in the first place, but nevertheless, still, you know, and I think that's often forgotten by people in a way, that, you know, and people kind of like criticise the classic series, saying, well, the companions did nothing, they weren't given proper characters, they were just there to scream at the monsters. But I mean, and while granted, there are some companions who did do that, nevertheless, there are other companions like Liz Shaw, Sarah Jane, Leela, and whatnot, who didn't, and you know, I think they're overlooked when people look back at the classic series, which is unfortunate. And even the ones who did scream did have good characters still. So yeah, that's that. So then the Brigadier, he kind of like, you know, he still is a very open-minded character in this. You know, in the Web of Fear and the Invasion, he was quite open-minded towards the Doctor. And in this, you know, he's fairly open-minded to the idea of the Doctor changing his face. And while he is quite a bit suspectful at first, he does later believe that it is the Doctor. And by the end of the story, you know, I don't think there's any doubt in his mind whatsoever. And I think in his later stories, he unfortunately gets treated quite bad in that respect, especially the Three Doctors bit. And while I do love the Three Doctors story, I think the Brigadier in it just, I'm not sure what they were thinking with the writing. They just made him the comic relief, and yeah, he didn't really believe that the TARDIS was bigger on the inside and whatnot. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, back onto this. In case any of you don't know, it was all shot on film and mostly on location because of a studio strike. And to be honest, it is better for it. The film really does have a crisp quality to it that is really nice to look at, and really does skip the whole it kind of like expands the reality of the whole story and makes it very gritty and really does fit kind of like the style that they were aiming for when they brought it down to earth. Because I think the then producer Derek Sherwin, I think he was producer. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was the producer at this point. You know, him and Peter Bryant and Terry Sticks often jumped around the spot as producer and script editor and whatnot. But I think at this point he was producer and Terry Sticks was script editor. But anyway, he often said that he was aiming for a Quatermassy feel to this when he brought Lockdown to Earth and kind of like really ground it in reality again, which was something that had been lost before. And I think, you know, shooting it on film helped that really. And also the general story, so the idea of these things falling to Earth is similar to Quatermass 2, if any of you have seen that, with the kind of like things falling to Earth in the collective intelligence and whatnot. So yeah, and you often see Quatermass things in John Pertwee stories, like the Demons is has a lot of story elements similar to Quatermass and the Pit. And yeah, but nevertheless, you know, it's not really bad for it. It's almost helped by it, I think. And you know, it really does ground it in reality again. And gives it a new direction, gives Doctor Who a new direction to go in. And you know, I liked the time when he was banished to Earth, and you know, I think season 7 and 8 worked quite well for that. Unfortunately, in season 9, they kind of like they tried to escape from that idea without actually ending his exile. So you often had stories where he was leaving Earth anyway, and you think, and you know, it almost feels too forced. And then finally it gets released in the Three Doctors. His exile ends there. He can travel freely in time and space again, but nevertheless, it's still season 9 is quite an off one for that reason. But nevertheless, I understand the need. They wanted to get him out. Wanted to get him off of Earth. But the thing is, in this story, he never left. In season 7, he never left Earth in the TARDIS. He did leave Earth in the Ambassador's Death. But that was in a rocket. And that was a bit different. So yeah, I think the Earthbound stories really do work, and they really are strong. And you know, I like the Unit stories. I like the inclusion of Unit and whatnot. And I think Unit in this does its job. You don't really have any of the regulars beyond the Brigadier. They kind of like come later. But nevertheless, you know, the story is almost like a mini version of the Invasion in a lot of ways. It does kind of like have that similar feel to it. And you know, that's good for me because I quite like the Invasion. It's possibly my favourite story, definitely my favourite Cyberman story. So, yep. There's lots to like in this story, but the negatives, however, are that there is a lot of kind of like iffy editing, really, and you know, you've also got, especially towards the start, it's very jumpy. You kind of like have a quick scene, and it'll just go by for no random reason and whatnot. And the cliffhangers, unfortunately, are quite bad. I mean, the cliffhangers themselves, I guess, are okay. But, I mean, the way they're done, you know, you really do need that screen into the end credits that you get in what's it called, the Ambassadors of Death, when you get that screen before, and then it goes into credits. But here it just literally stops and cuts into the credits. And that's quite unfortunate, really, because while it did work for black and white, because they kind of like faded, and because they didn't have the effects going on in the background, it literally just scrolled up and then faded to black with that the title scrolling up. Here it's a bit different, and it doesn't work as well, unfortunately. So yeah, there's that bit which unfortunately doesn't work too well. And I mean, you know, comparing this to Rose, just for a second, which is kind of like the start of the new series, where you've got the attack of the Autons and whatnot, and you know, there are people who will argue that the attack in Rose is better because you see them smashing the glass and whatnot, you see all that happening. But there's one thing that's very interesting to note, is that when they smash the glass, you don't actually see any people die. You kind of like you do see the occasional body lying around, and you see the Autons shooting. But you don't actually see the shots hit. And I don't know why. I think that's just kind of like the sensibilities of TV today, which is unfortunate. But in here, you do actually see people getting hit. You see the kind of like smoke coming off them. And I don't really see that as too horrific. And yeah, I just, it works quite well. And while the chaos portrayed in Rose is arguably better, the death portrayed in this is better. And you kind of like feel that there's more sense to it rather than there's more sense to this because you hear that they're attacking police stations, whatnot. You see the Autons as more strategic things. This is actually a strategic plan rather than literally just cause chaos across London. But yeah, now comparing it to Rose, let's rate the story itself. I think, it isn't the best. It does have its flaws, but overall, I think I'm going to go 8, maybe 9 out of 10. Around that mark, I think, because, it does have its very strong points, and it really is a strong kind of like step in the right direction for the series, and really kicks off and defines a new era. And while that would later change, get messed around with a bit during season 8, for season 7, it really does define that, I think. And it definitely does get darker in season 7. But nevertheless, here it is strong. It is definitely a solid start to the Pertwee era. And yeah, so thank you for watching, everyone. Next week's review will be the 10th Planet. Then after that, I'm going to push the reviews back from Saturday to Sunday and start reviewing the new series episodes. So Deep Breath will air on the Saturday, then I'll review it on the Sunday if all goes to plan, and then it'll continue on from there. And then when we get to the end of that, I'll stop and go back to classic reviews. So yeah, that's the plan. It may change, I don't know. But that's what I've got planned at the moment. And top 10s and also the audio reviews will still continue on as normal. So yeah, anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.